The rusty spur hadn't changed much in the 20 years Rex Milton had been drinking there. Same scratched-up bar top, same tired holograms flickering on the walls, same mix of roughnecks and spacers looking to wash the dust from their throats. The only real difference was that nowadays folks tended to give his usual corner table a wider berth. Not that Rex could blame them. A Texas night in full power armor tended to make regular folk nervous, even if said armor was currently powered down and its wearer was just trying to enjoy a quiet drink. His Winchester plasma rifle rested within easy reach against the wall, its well-worn stock reflecting the bar's dim lighting. The spurs on his boots gave off a faint hum as he adjusted his position, the sound mixing with the twang of ancient country music playing over the speakers. "Another round, Mr. Milton?" The bartender, an ancient service droid named Joe, hobbled over with a bottle of genuine earth bourbon. Rex tipped his Stetson back and smiled. "Much obliged, Joe. And I told you, it's just Rex." "Overwhelmed." "You did indeed, Mr. Milton, several hundred times by my count." The droid's vocabulator managed a passable imitation of a chuckle as it poured the drink. "And..." Rex was about to respond when the saloon's swinging doors parted to admit a figure that immediately set off his veteran's instincts. The newcomer was expensively dressed, too expensively for a place like the Rusty Spur. His clothes might have been cut to resemble traditional Western wear, but Rex could spot Martian silk and Clanafin leather at 50 paces. The stranger's eyes swept the room before settling on Rex's corner. He moved through the crowd with practiced ease, though Rex noticed he kept his right hand conspicuously clear of any potential weapons. "Marked man. Knight Milton?" The stranger's accent placed him from one of the outer colonies, probably somewhere in the Dixie system. "I wonder if I might have a moment of your time." Rex gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Reckon you just might, assuming you're buying the next round. As for this, I could blow you away, but I don't intend to. A life without politics is far too motherly, and perhaps a little too approachable." The man sat, his posture rigid despite the casual setting. "My name is Theodore Lawrence III, representing the interests of House Beauregard of New Memphis. Dixie Prime." "Long way from home, Mr. Lawrence." "Indeed." Lawrence glanced around before continuing in a lower voice. "I'm here to offer you a contract, Knight Milton, one that requires your particular set of skills." "And..." Rex took a slow sip of bourbon. "I'm listening." "House Beauregard is missing something rather valuable. A knox." He patted the side in silence. A knox. That got Rex's attention. Knox weren't exactly common pets, massive bipedal creatures that made Earth's extinct elephants look like house cats. The noble houses of Dixie used them for their hunting parties, a tradition that went back to the early days of colonization. "Missing, you say?" Lawrence's expression soured. "Stolen. By a gang of claim-jumping outlaws calling themselves the Red Rock Runners. They hit one of our breeding facilities 3 weeks ago, killed 2 handlers, and made off with our prize bull." "Red Rock Runners," Rex mused. "They're operating out of Vermilion these days, if I recall correctly." "You recall correctly, Knight Milton. We've tracked the Knox to their main compound there." Lawrence produced a data chip and slid it across the table. "Everything we know about their operation is on there, along with proof of ownership and appropriate compensation for your services." Rex picked up the chip, but didn't slot it into his armor's reader just yet. "Why me? House Beauregard's got enough pull to send in the Colonial Marines, proper-like. The situation requires a more delicate touch. The Knox needs to be recovered alive and relatively unharmed. Moreover, we'd prefer to avoid any official entanglements that might embarrass the House." Meaning there's something about this Knox you ain't telling me. Lawrence's poker face was good, but Rex hadn't survived this long by being unobservant. There was definitely more to this story. The details of the Knox's lineage are included in the file, Lawrence said smoothly, along with a substantial bonus for discretion. Do we have an agreement? Rex considered for a moment, then slotted the chip into his armor's reader. The number that flashed across his helmet's internal display had quite a few zeros after it. Reckon we do, Mr. Lawrence. Rex stood, towering over the seated man. I'll contact my team and head out first thing tomorrow. Exercise Recovered was a production of Random House ERP, or programs of the like had never been produced by everyone. Lawrence rose as well, obvious relief crossing his features. Excellent. The house thanks you for your service, Knight Milton. Don't thank me yet, Rex said, settling his hat firmly on his head. Still got to catch your knocks. As Lawrence headed for the door, Rex sat back down and signaled Joe for another drink. Looking at the data scrolling across his HUD, he had a feeling he was going to need it. Vermilion's twin suns beat down mercilessly as Rex's ship touched down on the outskirts of Copper Canyon. The ship's ramp hadn't even finished lowering before Anna Naples came striding down it, her modified revolvers holstered at her hips and a wide-brimmed hat shading her eyes from the harsh light. You sure know how to pick 'em, Rex, she said, squinting at the rocky landscape. Couldn't get a job somewhere nice and cool for once? Now where's the fun in that sick shot? Rex stepped down beside her, his power armor's cooling systems already humming to life. Doc still sulking about the landing? I am not sulking, came a precise voice from inside the ship. I am running final diagnostics on our equipment, and I still maintain that your insistence on manual landing procedures was unnecessary and potentially dangerous. Doc Harrison emerged from the ship's interior, his chrome-plated frame catching the sunlight. Despite his protests about Rex's flying, the former battle droid moved with his usual fluid grace as he joined them. Sometimes you gotta trust in good old-fashioned human instinct, Doc, Rex said, patting the AI's shoulder. Speaking of which, what's your instinct telling you about those sensor readings we picked up on the way in? Exo Laser Personality 0 flashed Kiero in a text. Gone wind loop level plus, Rex said. Doc's optical sensors whirred as he focused on the distant canyon walls. The Red Rock runners have made significant modifications to the old mining facilities. I'm detecting energy signatures consistent with military-grade shield generators and automated defense systems. They're clearly paranoid about uninvited guests. Can't imagine why, Anna drawled, checking the charge on her revolvers. It's not like they stole a prized Knox from one of the most powerful houses in the Dixie system or anything. Rex pulled up the tactical display in his helmet, overlaying the canyon with scanning data. The Knox would be in the deepest part of the quarry if he was reading the energy signatures right. Getting to it meant going through or around at least 3 layers of security. Doc, how good's your memory of Vermilion's mining protocols? I have complete archives of all standard operating procedures and emergency protocols used in this sector. Doc's head tilted slightly. Are you thinking what I believe you're thinking? If you're thinking he wants to use the old maintenance tunnels to bypass their outer security, then yeah, that's exactly what he's thinking, Anna said with a grin. Just like that job on Clanifa. The Clanifa job ended with us nearly frozen solid in a methane lake, Doc pointed out. But we got paid, Rex and Anna said in unison. Doc's cooling fans whirred in what might have been a sigh. I'll begin mapping the tunnel network, but I feel compelled to point out that my preliminary scans indicate unusual energy readings from the quarry's central chamber. The Knox may not be exactly as described in our contract. Rex thought back to Lawrence's careful choice of words in the saloon. Yeah, I reckon there's more to this story than House Beauregard's letting on. But first things first. Anna, I want you to take the high ground. See what you can spot from the ridge line. Doc, start working on those tunnel maps. I'm going to have a chat with some of the locals, see what they know about our friends in the quarry. Perfect. You sound far more comfortable than you did a moment ago. You sure about that? Anna asked, already checking her climbing gear. This ain't exactly Texas night territory. Rex adjusted his Stetson and made sure his Winchester was securely slung across his back. Maybe not. But folks tend to get mighty talkative when a night comes calling. Besides, he grinned, I hear they make a decent chicken fried steak at the local cantina. Anna rolled her eyes while Doc's optical sensors flickered in what passed for his version of the same gesture, but they both knew that beneath Rex's easygoing manner lay a razor-sharp tactical mind. If he wanted to scope out the local watering hole, there was more to it than just satisfying his appetite. Rendezvous back here in 3 hours, Rex said, his tone turning serious. And keep your comms open. I don't like how quiet it is out here. As his teammates headed off to their assigned tasks, Rex took one more look at the quarry in the distance. Something about this whole setup wasn't sitting right with him. House Beauregard's story had more holes than a target dummy after practice. And those energy readings Doc mentioned, well, one way or another, they were going to find out what was really going on in that quarry. Rex just hoped they'd all live long enough to collect their payment when it was over. Sandstorms rolling in from the northeast, Anna's voice crackled over the comm. Just like you predicted, Rex. Rex crouched behind a boulder, watching the swirling clouds of red dust approach through his helmet's enhanced vision. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Doc, you in position? Affirmative, came the AI's response. I have accessed their security network through the maintenance systems. Rather sloppy of them to leave the old hardware in place. Would you like to know their defensive capabilities? It may. 32 armed personnel, mostly concentrated in the upper levels. Automated turrets covering all major approaches. Energy shields rated to stop anything short of orbital bombardment. Doc paused. And something rather interesting in the central chamber with the knox. Define interesting, Anna said. I'm detecting power readings consistent with experimental genetic modification equipment. Military grade. Rex's jaw tightened. They're not just holding it, they're experimenting on it. No wonder House Beauregard wanted this kept quiet. He checked his Winchester's charge. New plan. Anna, forget the turrets. Focus on their power distribution hub. Doc, on my mark, I want every alarm in that place going off at once. And what will you be doing? Anna asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. Rex stood, energy crackling along his armor as he brought it to full power. What any self-respecting Texas knight would do. I'm walking in the front door. Once he had... That is tactically inadvisable, Doc said. Probably, Rex agreed, but it'll sure get their attention. Execute in 3, 2, 1. Executed. The world erupted into chaos. Every alarm in the compound began screaming at once as Doc launched his cyber assault. The automated turrets swiveled wildly, their targeting systems compromised. In the confusion, Anna's first shots rang out, precise and devastating. The power hub exploded in a spectacular cascade of energy, taking out a section of the shield wall. Rex didn't wait. He strode through the gap, Winchester raised, his spurs leaving glowing tracks in the red dust. The first group of guards came rushing out to meet him, energy weapons blazing. I'm Rex Milton of the Texas Knights. His amplified voice boomed across the compound. Y'all are in possession of stolen property, and I'm here to collect. Baron nodded. Their response came in the form of concentrated weapons fire. Rex's armor absorbed the hits. As he triggered his lariat, the energy cord lashing out to wrap around the nearest guard. With a practiced twist, he sent the man flying into his companions. "Have it your way, then." The Winchester roared, each shot finding its mark with generations of practiced accuracy. Rex moved with the fluid grace that came from years of training and combat. His armor's enhanced strength letting him throw guards around like rag dolls when they got too close. The short "Rex," Anna's voice cut through the chaos. "We've got movement in the central chamber. They're trying to move the Knox." "Doc," confirmed. They appeared to be preparing it for emergency transport. And oh my. "What is it, Doc?" A roar shook the entire compound, deep and primal, and definitely not natural. Rex had heard knocks before. This was something else entirely. "It would appear," Doc said, with what might have been a touch of anxiety in his artificial voice, "that their experiments were successful. The Knox's biological signature has been significantly altered, enhanced, sir." As if to prove his point, the reinforced doors of the central chamber exploded outward. Through the dust and debris emerged a massive shape, easily twice the size of a normal Knox. Its hide gleamed with metallic implants, and its eyes glowed with an unnatural blue light. "Well," Rex said, chambering a fresh power cell into his Winchester, "that surely complicates things." The enhanced Knox let out another earth-shaking roar and charged through the compound, scattering guards and equipment like leaves in a tornado. Its enhanced muscles rippled under metallic reinforced hide as it smashed through a storage shed like it was made of paper. "Doc," Rex called out as he dove behind a fallen pillar, "now might be a good time to share any insights about what they did to that thing." "Initial scans indicate extensive cybernetic enhancement combined with genetic modification," Doc replied, his usual precise tone tinged with concern. "They appear to have integrated military-grade combat systems into its nervous system. In simple terms, they turned it into a living tank," Anna cut in. Her shots sparked off the Knox's enhanced hide with little effect. "Rex, my rounds aren't even scratching it." The Knox wheeled around at the sound of her shots, those unnaturally blue eyes fixing on her position. Rex didn't hesitate. He burst from cover, firing his Winchester to draw its attention. "Hey, over here, you oversized science project." The creature's head snapped toward him, and Rex got his first good look at what the smugglers had done. Neural interfaces protruded from its skull, pulsing with energy. Armor plates had been grafted directly onto its hide, and its already formidable claws now gleamed with metallic reinforcement. "Don't misunderstand me. I'm detecting significant electromagnetic emissions from its neural implants," Doc reported. "The enhancements appear to be powered by a central control unit, likely located at the base of its skull." "Anna?" Rex called out as he rolled away from a swipe that would have cut him in half. "You thinking what I'm thinking? Town Rodeo 42? He could hear the grin in her voice. "I'll need about 3 minutes to set up." "You've got one." Rex activated his lariat, the energy cord spinning to life. "Doc, I need a distraction." "Processing request," Doc replied. A moment later, every remaining speaker in the compound began blasting high-frequency sound. The Knox roared in confusion, its enhanced senses overwhelmed by the assault. Rex seized his chance. He sprinted forward, dodging another wild swing from the creature. His lariat shot out, wrapping around one of its massive legs. The Knox's enhanced strength nearly yanked him off his feet, but his armor's servos compensated, anchoring him to the ground. "Little busy here," he grunted as the Knox tried to shake him loose. "Anna?" "Almost there." Each word was punctuated by the sound of her adjusting her position on the canyon wall. "Just need a clear shot at that control unit." Said Hansi. "I'm trying my best," he said, noticing a group of Cossacks in a practice group. The Knox suddenly changed tactics. Instead of trying to shake Rex loose, it charged straight at him. Rex's eyes widened behind his helmet. Well, that's not good. He waited until the last possible second before diving aside, using the creature's own momentum to trip it with the lariat. The knox crashed into the ground with enough force to shake the entire compound, but it was already starting to rise again. Got it. Her revolvers barked twice in rapid succession. The first shot hit the knox's neural control unit with pinpoint accuracy, shorting out its enhancement systems. The second struck one of its primary implants, sending feedback cascading through its cybernetics. The creature staggered, its movements becoming erratic as its artificial enhancements failed. Rex took advantage of its confusion, swinging his lariat up to wrap around its neck. The knox thrashed, but without its enhancements, it was just an ordinary, if massive, animal. "Doc," Rex called out, straining to hold the creature steady. "You want to earn your keep and give me a hand here?" "I believed I was already earning my keep," Doc replied dryly, but he emerged from his position, holding what looked like a modified medical injector. "This should help calm our enhanced friend. Assuming, of course, that its metabolism hasn't been too severely altered." The knox's struggles gradually subsided as the sedative took effect. As it sank to its knees, Rex finally allowed himself to catch his breath. "Well," Anna said, making her way down from her perch, "that was exciting. Think House Beauregard will still want it now that it's been upgraded?" Rex looked at the sedated creature, its modified hide glinting in Vermilion's harsh sunlight. "Reckon that's not our problem. Contract just said to bring it back alive." He paused. "Though I suspect we might be due a bonus for handling unexpected complications." "Speaking of complications," Doc interjected, "several of the smugglers appear to be regrouping near the compound's rear entrance. They seem rather upset about our acquisition of their experimental subject." Rex checked his Winchester's charge and grinned beneath his helmet. "Can't imagine why. Anna, Doc, secure our friend here. I'll go have a word with the former owners." The grand hall of House Beauregard's estate on Dixie Prime stretched high above them, its vaulted ceiling decorated with holographic constellations. Rex stood at parade rest, his armor cleaned of Vermilion's red dust, but still bearing the scars of the recent battle. Anna and Doc flanked him, facing the assembled members of House Beauregard's ruling council. Theodore Lawrence III looked considerably less composed than he had in the saloon. This is not what we contracted for, Knight Milton. The knox was supposed to be returned in its original condition." Contrasted alive and relatively unharmed, Rex replied calmly. "Way I see it, you're getting more than you bargained for." "More?" Lawrence sputtered. "It's been turned into a monstrosity." "A monstrosity," Anna cut in, "with military-grade enhancements that your competitors would pay a fortune to study. Not to mention its value as a hunting trophy just went up considerably." One of the council members, an elderly woman with steel-gray hair, leaned forward. "Explain." Rex nodded to Doc, who stepped forward and projected a detailed hologram of the Knox's enhanced systems. "The modifications are actually quite elegant," the AI explained. "The neural interfaces can be controlled remotely, allowing you to moderate the creature's enhanced capabilities. In simple terms, you can adjust the difficulty of your hunt to match your guest's skill levels." Rex nodded his approval. The council members murmured among themselves. Rex noticed several approving nods. "And what of the smugglers?" Lawrence asked, his tone still bitter but beginning to show signs of interest. "Won't be a problem," Rex assured him. "Those that survived are in custody with the colonial marshals. We made sure they understood the benefits of keeping quiet about their little experiment." The gray-haired councilwoman smiled. "It seems House Beauregard owes you a debt of gratitude, Knight Milton. Not only have you retrieved our property, but you've also provided us with a unique opportunity." She turned to Lawrence. "Pay them double the agreed amount." "Double?" Lawrence's eyes widened. "But madam, the Knox alone is worth that much now," she cut him off. "And their discretion is worth even more." She turned back to Rex. "Unless you plan to report this incident to the Texas Knights Command?" Rex touched the brim of his Stetson. "Ma'am, far as I'm concerned, this was just a simple retrieval mission. Nothing worth bothering command about." "Excellent." She nodded to Lawrence. "See to their payment. And we may have need of your services again, Knight Milton. House Beauregard values competent professionals who understand the virtue of discretion." Later, back aboard their ship, Anna counted her share of the payment while Doc ran pre-flight checks. "Not bad for a few days' work," she said, "though I'm still not sure how I feel about helping those blue bloods cover up their illegal genetics program." "Sometimes," Rex said, settling into the pilot's seat, "being a good bounty hunter means knowing which questions not to ask." He paused, then added with a slight smile, "Though I did make sure Doc sent an anonymous tip to the Knights about increased smuggling activity in that sector. Reckon they'll want to keep a closer eye on House Beauregard's hunting parties from now on." "Devious," Hannah grinned. "I like it." "Speaking of devious," Doc chimed in, "I'm receiving a priority transmission. It seems there's a situation on New Madrid involving a missing shipment of experimental power cells." Rex laughed, firing up the ship's engines. "Send them my rates, but tell them I'm taking a few days off first. I know this little saloon that makes the best chicken fried steak this side of the galaxy." Shaking his head. As their ship lifted off from Dixie Prime, Rex thought about the enhanced knox now safely installed in House Beauregard's private hunting grounds. Sometimes the job got complicated, but at the end of the day, a Texas Knight always sees it through, even if it means bending the rules a little bit along the way. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. Feel free to comment and share this story too. It helps the channel grow. Let's make this channel huge together.